We're in countdown mode here before a major World Cup match kicks off right here in Atlanta. England and Argentina. The game begins at 3 o'clock. We are 41 minutes away now, if my math is correct. It's going to take place right there. You're looking live at the Benz, the gravity center of all things World Cup soccer here in Atlanta. A major semifinal match set to kick off. The stakes could not be higher. Winner moves on to the World Cup final. And this is going to be a celebration, a demonstration, an exhibition of sporting excellence. The athletes on the pitch, truly the best on the planet. Even as a layperson, you can see that when you watch them. But there are some folks who have a little more expertise. They see more than just meets the untrained eye when they watch. And we're joined by one of those folks right now, Professor Jerry Mangine with Kennesaw State University, and you're an expert in this. I'm going to read your full title because it's worth pointing it out. Professor of Exercise Science and Director of the Center for Research on Human Sport Performance and Well-Being. Jerry, thanks for being with us. This is right in your wheelhouse, talking about World Cup.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, it's elite sports, and that's what I do on research, is try to figure out what makes that happen.
How much of it, as you research this, is it in the head versus in the body that makes up an elite athlete?
It's a combination of both, but once you get to that level, they're all great athletes, so it is a lot of the mental game.
Is there a way, and I guess let's just start here, how much has our understanding of what makes an elite athlete evolved in the last decade or two?
Last decade is fast-forwarded a lot. With the internet and sharing information, research, that sped things up, but it is a very young field where it kind of kicked off 80s and 90s, and it's since the 2000s we've really started to understand things.
I'm watching a documentary right now on the early days of the Premier League, the top flight league for soccer in England, for those who don't watch, and it started off in the early 90s, and even just looking at the preparation, the recovery techniques in play, or maybe not in play at the time compared to where they are now in 2026, the amount of science, I mean, real true science being done in the training facilities and the locker rooms sure seems to have come a long way in those 30 years.
It has. And the thing is, the science is always behind what the coaches are doing. The coaches think of new techniques, they try them out. Some things work with some athletes, not others. And, you know, the job of the exercise scientist is to support that, or find evidence to support that. And so that's kind of how we've come along, trying to dispel the myths of what might work for recovery, what is the key, the formula to make an elite athlete. All those things, we've been coming along big time.
What do you think is maybe the most widely held misconception when you look at the state of sports dialogue from a kind of unique vantage point of somebody who does academic research on a field that I think you'd agree with me is awash in hot takes that are typically not grounded in a lot of academic rigor?
I think the biggest misconception is that we're not just looking at the best athletes out there. There's very few times is it that the fastest person is the best player. I mean, maybe in track and field, but yeah, it's not just these individual skills. It's a combination of skills. It's a combination of opportunity. And like I said before, there is a mental aspect of having that ability to assess what's happening in the game, make a decision faster than your opponent, giving you that edge because you're going against someone who's equally talented. So thinking of the solution first, that's what's going to separate the best from almost the best.
Something you hear a lot about from commentary crews, and candidly, you know, in my much less vaunted career as an athlete, I certainly never got close to even dreaming of looking at a World Cup field that I wasn't a spectator on. But, you know, whether you play JV sports in high school or you go all the way, you hear about momentum in a game, in a race, in any kind of athletic competition. Is that legit, or is it a little overhyped?
I mean, that's a little bit beyond the things that I look at, but confidence is a big issue. So momentum, success, that breeds more success. You build a culture. You hear coaches talking about that all the time. So having the culture, having the success, but also knowing how to deal with adversity.
Not letting it spiral?
Not letting it spiral. And, you know, you look at these players out there, I'm willing to bet that all of them at some point weren't the best players on their team, that they had to struggle. And that's what, you know, builds their great character and their ability to deal with adversity is having that struggle. They've been the best players on their team, and they've been maybe not the best or even the worst. Who knows? I mean, I guess every player is different, but going back and forth, that's what breeds the best athlete, not just always crushing it.
Have there been any moments of this World Cup, specific moments that have really stood out to you?
When USA lost.
Yeah, boy, this podcast, this interview is about to take a turn because I'm still grieving a little bit from that one.
Well, you're always hoping, right?
They give you, we're really going to take a turn here if I'm not careful because I could do half an hour just on this.
Yeah.
They give you just enough to dare to dream.
Yeah.
And then, they dash the hope. But we still love you guys. 4 more years. We got the women next year, so we got that.
I think it's not anything unexpected because you expect the unexpected when you're dealing with this type of level of competition. In football they say any given Sunday,
Sure.
any day the best in the world can lose, and just expect to enjoy the game. That's really what you can do.
Are there off the field, off the track, off the course tendencies that the truly great athletes exhibit?
I think there's a very fine line between what we would call doing way too much versus what the best in the world have to do. And they have to balance that. So it's about recovery. It's about their regimen. It's about thinking about all the little things that we would probably never even dream to be concerned with. Their meals, when they go to bed, when they wake up, that pre-bed ritual that gets them to sleep. Whereas you or I, if we're about to play to go to the World Cup, maybe we'd be pretty nervous about that.
I would say so.
Yeah, and not be able to sleep that night. But they have a regimen that they get through and allows them to get the recovery they need. Without that recovery, I mean, this is weeks-long tournament. There's going to be aches and pains and injuries, and they do every little thing that they can to make themselves ready.
You remind me of some famous basketball players. You think of Michael Jordan. You think of Kobe Bryant. These guys who were famous for their off-the-court work ethic, even when compared to other elite NBA guys. Is it sometimes a challenge to coach athletes like that, as great as they are, as talented as they are? Is it sometimes, from your perspective, tough to get people who are already so successful to keep fine-tuning the habits that they could rightly say, hey, I know what I'm doing. I've gotten all this way doing things how I do them.
So my background is strength and conditioning. So from a strength and conditioning aspect, yes, that's very hard, especially with elite athletes. Having worked in professional baseball and individually with a number of athletes, well, the individual ones, they're coming to you for your expertise. But when you're with a team, you deal with those athletes that want to put their hand up and say, hey, I've got it. And in that case, you make yourself available to them and answer their questions and help them when you can. But the other ones, you'd be surprised. There's still a lot of things that you can do because even the best in the world can improve.
How much does trust play a role in all of this? A relationship between coach and player, between player and player, between staff and team?
If you don't have trust, you don't have a job. That's what it comes down to. I mean, you're a team. You call it a team for a reason, and you're going into this competition, and if you're not working together in the game, before the game, after the game, you're not going to be very successful unless you're just really good, and even then you're probably not going to make it to the tippy top.
We're a little short on time here. I don't want to forget some other folks who often do get overlooked.
Yeah.
Unless, unfortunately, things go a little sideways. I empathize with them. I was a goalie in high school, and not a lot of people are talking about you unless something goes a little sideways. But the referees have it even worse. They're out a little bit on an island, but they're athletes too. They've got to be able to run with the play, and they've got to be able to make really fast decisions as well.
Yeah.
And you hope, in front of billions of people, they're getting it right.
Yes.
What's going through their mind? What separates the great referees from everybody else?
Yeah, so we have a faculty member at Kennesaw that is working his way up in the professional ranks, and through him we did
As a referee?
As a referee, yeah. And through him, we did a study on those sideline referees. And doing that study, it really opened my eyes. So the sideline referees, they're running up and down the field with, staying with the gameplay, and they have to hold their hand at their side with holding that flag. That is a biomechanically inefficient way to run, and yet they have to keep up with some of the fastest people in the world. and still be able to see everything. I would have to say that they're on par with those athletes in terms of that ability. It's amazing what they're able to do and still get it right from most of the time.
And the stress, we talk about the mental side of things too. You're really under a microscope when you're doing that job there. How do they prepare mentally?
I mean, it's repetition. I mean, they've been doing it so many times. They have their coping mechanisms that they do. And I mean, that's part of that mental side of what separates the athletes along the way, is just being able to pick yourself back up even when you make a mistake. You're always going to make a mistake.
Let's end with this, because I could talk to you all afternoon. This is fascinating. There's so much talk about the young athletes and the next generation of athletes that watch anytime there's a big sporting event, no matter what the sport is. Certainly when you're looking at soccer, certainly here in the United States, always trying to grow the game.
Yeah.
If you're out there, the next Leo Messi, and you happen to be in America and you're 4 years old, get a ball, start kicking it. We need you. But to all the parents out there, the kids who are watching this tournament right now here in the United States, from your perspective, what lesson do you hope they take away?
Love the game. Love what you do. I think that goes overlooked. People say it. If you want to be the best, yes, you have to train hard and you have to commit yourself, but that's not going to be possible if you don't love what you're doing. And try to focus on leaving every training session, every game, knowing that you had fun doing it. Professor
Jerry Mangine, we appreciate it very much. Thank you for being here. 2030, we'll be back. U.S. men's national team. And we got the women coming up next year. Jerry, thank you very much.
Take care.